We have been here for so long now. There are few left from the jump, when we had our planet taken from its universe by accident and put into this one. My parents were a part of the first generation, and they told me stories growing up of the dark days of the enemy and the war that had defined our past. It's easy to change a government, a leader, or speak of a new era, but creating it is something different. I was never supposed to read Principles of the Divergency, yet with the death of my mentor Tao Sheng, here I am. Our galaxy is vast and full of wonder, as well as danger. Growing up, I had the honor to serve in the fleet, and through my time patrolling the outer colonies and trading lanes, realized that the emptiness is not a curse, but a blessing. We have a duty to build a civilization which will never be weak enough to not stand up for her beliefs. We have the puck at our side, and it is always a pleasure to speak with them, even with their various eccentricities. It is good we do, as our people in the Xeltek are on a collision course that I expect will only end in one thing. They stole our people, forcefully incorporated them into their collective, and our borders grow closer by the day. I fear the war is inevitable, and we must do everything we can to prepare for what is to come. With the end of the dictatorship, I must say I felt so much hope and pride in our people. But now, as I sit upon the head of the Confederation, I fear for the future we have defined. Changes take time, and we do not have much of that anymore. I hope that Alexander Foss made the right decision. I am Iso Awolowo, Princeps of the Divergency. My people have learned to survive in this place. It is time we do more. So yeah, we are Confederacy now. We have Princip Isa Awolowo, who is Destroyer-focused Frontier Spirit, so we're going to work on building up our military and colonizing new planets. Those are our main goals for the new Confederacy government. And we are still dealing with the last part of the food shortages, which have impacted us really since we first got to this galaxy. Again, none of our people were trained in food production, and we have been dealing with that for a long time now. Security contractors have been proposed by Cerberus, and regulated growth has been proposed. That we are going to disagree with. And this we will also disagree with, since we're actually next to two of the mercenaries, and they are very dangerous, so we're going to oppose both of these legislations. So like I said, the primary goal of our current Princip is to get a bigger fleet, so let's work on developing one properly here. We are at full capacity on both of these fleets. We can make another, so we'll go ahead and do that. We just lost our physics researcher, but we now have Ink, son of Tabu, which is the one that those aliens offered to give us. He is very competent. He is psychic and a genius. It is good to see that the incorporation of alien species has done so much for our empire. There's a time I don't think we could have ever imagined doing something like that.
Greetings, dear friends to our north.
Ah, greetings. Always good to speak with our friends of the puck. What can I do for you today?
Yes, we simply wish to check in if you got our message about the beast to our north.
Are you speaking about the dimensional horror?
Yes, we are.
We did get your communication on that, and our security forces are keeping a very close eye on it. Our scientists suggest at this time that it is somehow attached to that black hole in the system and is incapable of leaving it. But to be frank with you, if it does leave that system, I don't think there's anything my species can do to stop it.
Then it may be better to eliminate it sooner rather than later.
I am fully in agreement with you, but the security forces of the Divergency, which we are working to increase, it is one of my main campaign goals, was to increase the fleet's capacity. Our scientists suggest that at the very best, we could piss the creature off and do very little else.
It does appear to be lodged in there quite safely, but we can never truly be too careful.
I am focused on two things as the new Princip of the Confederacy of Arcalan, and that is with making our fleets ready for any enemy that may come for us, such as the Xeltek, as we've seen recently, as well as colonize new worlds, as we still are dealing with our overpopulation issue from the jump.
Yes, we've been hearing such tales recently.
Has established communications.
Quite luckily, in fact, we have begun terraforming our own worlds. There appear to be some that are utterly useless to us for now, but may prove useful for you should you require it.
That is very kind of you to suggest. We also have terraforming technologies, but seeing as I have not had the leisure of spending resources on up until now with the upgrading of the fleets. We have started to discuss the possibility of a program to convert worlds into our own habitation, but we don't have much experience on it.
We weren't talking in reference to the standard terraforming technology, but a
Indeed.
relic we recently acquired from the ruins of a rather disastrous world.
A relic?
Though, yes, it is the corpse of a plantoid. We believe their species to be known as the bull. You may have something in your records about them.
Nothing comes to mind.
Well, these bull once acted as a hive mind themselves, terraforming planets forcibly through their tendrils. This one is now dead, thankfully, but we are able to forcibly use their biological functions to convert worlds into Gaia worlds. It's a very useful piece of
Into
technology.
Gaia worlds. That is indeed
Yes.
a miraculous artifact you have found.
We have a few tomb worlds within our systems that we are not using. If it would make things easier for you in your expansion efforts, we would be happy to terraform one into a Gaia world and leave it for you to claim.
That would be incredibly generous of you to do, as again, we are very much in need of new homes for our species. Many of us, I suppose, have gotten used to collective living, but frankly, it is not in our nature to enjoy such a thing. I do have some very disturbing news. There was recently a security breach and sabotage in Lazarus Station, where all of our major gun batteries were destroyed. This is the gun batteries that we have on the border with the Cerberus Corporation, which makes us suspect that they have done so. This is a very dangerous security threat, as our station is almost entirely unprotected, which has also coincided with a fleet of privateers appearing next to our capital.
The concern that we have is we've recently heard reports from our assets within their systems that there is the Infinity Machine within their borders.
They have the Infinity Machine?
Yes, we believe it lies near to one of their systems named Fabit.
We had made it very clear to the whole galaxy, if anyone, they know well that we've been searching for it.
Yes, that's why we were afraid to inform you of the situation.
Greetings.
This is the Arcalan Divergency.
Yes, it is. We had planned on contacting you shortly.
Alright, we saw that on scanners you had a bit of a problem with pirates.
We had a problem with pirates, which has been dealt with, and in addition, in Lazarus Station, all of our major gun batteries were destroyed, which, frankly, my military is very concerned about, considering it sits on your border.
So we've seen reports and we've seen on our scanners some instances of that. We were wondering if actually you want to go and hire our services. We do offer protection services as well as militaristic ones.
Given the recent circumstance and the investigation that is going into how exactly that happened, we will have to say no for now. We do have a very pressing question for you, though.
Sure.
Which is why you have not notified us of the Infinity Machine within your borders when we have made it clear to the whole galaxy that we have been searching for it for quite some time now.
I actually have no clue what you're talking about.
The Infinity Machine.
Where is it?
We have heard reports that it is within your borders or near them.
I can tell you those are false. Someone must be lying to you. Well, unfortunately for you, it's no longer in our borders. We have no clue where it went. That is, if it was to be there in the first place. But unfortunately, we didn't see it.
So it is no longer in your borders if it was there to begin with.
Yes.
Perhaps we can clear this all up. I would offer you a sharing of maps of my own territories and for yours, and then we can see if there is truly an Infinity Machine near you or not.
See, as you can tell, it's not anywhere within our borders.
That does appear to be the case. That is
We're just being honest here. It seems
very
like your
odd.
friend is lying to you.
I'm going to have to confer with the Navy Command about this.
And now,
It
if you don't mind,
appears that we may have been given wrong information. Local political drama on Deathris Prime has resulted in increased support among a local group of rebels opposed to our underlying ethics. Someone is messing with us right now, and I don't know who it is. After establishing an active sensor link with them, after they claimed that there was no Infinity Machine with their borders, we have confirmed that there is none, at least one that we can see.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dear. Are you 100% certain? Do apologise, we appear to have gotten our wires crossed, so to speak. Yes. It appears it may have been a rumour spread by the Cerberus Defence Corporation. Okay, to be perfectly honest, we do not have any excuse for it. This is simply a fuck up on our part. Is there any way we can... anything we can do to help rectify the situation?
Nothing comes to mind at the moment. It is an unfortunate situation, as we did make pretty aggressive accusations towards Cerberus. Thankfully, they have been very accommodating to them. Also, it is election season, so I hope you don't mind if we wish to talk accommodating me as I tour a couple worlds and give some speeches.
Oh, of course, of course.
As long as you don't mind the travel, of course. I've gotten rather used to it, you know. When I used to be a union organizer, I traveled to all the remote colonies to give speeches and give the people the rights they deserved. The old dictator was a good man, but I think that he thought that certain basic human decencies could be disregarded due to our situation, which is never the case. For what are we if we get rid of our very basic tenets, even in hard times?
I hope you don't mind me borrowing a term from one of the philosophers I have had some lovely conversations with. I believe he put it best when he said, how much of humanity shall we sacrifice in order to save humanity?
Precisely my own thoughts. I had some very hard times during that era. In the early days, as I said, I do not wish to speak ill of the old dictator. He was a good man, but his officers, a different story entirely. I remember on a protest in the first colony world when our people were forced to work with inhuman decency. There was a protest, and I and many others found ourselves quite badly beaten. I still have the scars on my shoulder to prove it, but thankfully, with us in charge now, things are different. The Confederacy is perhaps not as efficient as the dictatorship, but we are the moral choice. Oh, also, I do see that I have lost the election. That is very unfortunate. Cultures change, civilizations evolve, old systems face the unstoppable hand of entropy. Yet in all of change, it is not bad. Interstellar civilizations and empires allow one to witness the evolution of species and how they co-evolve with others. Today is a historical day for the Divergency, as despite the polls widely supporting the re-election of Prince Ipsisa, he has lost in an upset victory to the dark horse candidate Fira. Our polling data suggests that the Arcalans split their vote amongst the candidates of their species, while a staggering 97.4% of Alvanians voted for Nawater. Truly, we are witnessing history here, folks. Nobody expected an Alvanian president for generations to come. She has, of course, an inspiring story. Born just before the invasion of Isius, when the traitor had control over the planet, she grew up in the slums of the capital. When the Divergency opened the first schools there, she was educated and was sent to Velotaria to finish her higher levels of education. She got a doctorate in intergalactic economics and published the widely praised thesis, here it is, Automated Systems of Development and the Integration of AI and Macroeconomics. That's quite a lot. Which of course has done a lot to popularize AI systems in the economy. Fira became, of course, a very vocal member of the Alvanians, demanding fair treatment of the laws of her people, and managed to get a very strong voice when her mining business Orbital Solutions Incorporated grew to become one of the Divergency's most wealthy private holdings. Of course, a lot of that money has gone into bankrolling this election, but her win is still stunning. We'll see what it's like to have a renowned economist, industrialist, and Alvanian icon running things from here on out, folks.
The formation of a Galactic Council is, for lack of a better term, slightly controversial. I personally am not for it nor against it, but that is not my business. If anybody here wishes to make a speech either for or against the Annex, we suggest you make yourself known now. I shall bring you up communications.
As I'm sure you're aware, the Andori Forge Worlds and their administration are the prominent leader in the galaxy. We believe that through the Galactic Council, we'll be able to export our achievements, of which has led our people to great prosperity. As our people live in utopian abundance and have not seen failure for decades, we believe that through this council we'll be able to export these ideals to the members of the Galactic Council. which would only spell for mutual prosperity. Thank you.
Wonderful to hear. Somebody who has a little optimism.
Greetings. I am the recently elected Prince of Fira no Water. I represent a species which has often not had a voice in the divergency, but now we stand united. I reject utterly the notion of a galactic council. To us, the galactic community could definitely be a force for good, as we have seen discussion rather than simple violence, which has defined my own species' past as well as that of the Arcalan, fellow members of the divergency. I would say that it is primarily due to the unnecessarily powerful weight of certain civilizations in this community through the utilization of large diplomatic corps that give them unreasonable power in the community. We, as a species, wish to look after the interests of our own people, the needs of mine as well as all species that the divergency come before putting our resources and focus on the international community. I find the current vote to frankly be defined simply by galactic corruption. There was a species here in the early days I remember listening to when I was younger that suggested in the early days that the galactic community would be prosperous and work together, but would fall to corruption. I watched on my own holo set when this speech was given and remember those words well. It seems to me now that we are already beginning to see the early parts of corruption in this community, as certain species exert unreasonable authority, power, and influence in this assembly, despite perhaps not being much more powerful than many others. The lack of representation my species, my people, my divergency, as well as many others have in this assembly, due to prioritizing the needs of our own people as compared to this assembly, frankly, makes me utterly reject this proposal for a galactic council. It will be used only for corruption and tyranny. And if it is formed, I would like to formally state that the divergency will not acknowledge its authority. Thank you.
Dear friends,
Greetings.
we come to you with an interesting development, aside from the formation of the damnable Galactic Council at the very least.
Indeed.
We believe we recently discovered a method of disconnecting hive mind drones from the overall mind, providing them independence and freedom from
That is
control.
shocking news, and a very glad one.
Well, we just wish to inform you of this development, should that affect your judgment on whether or not a conflict with that collective is feasible.
I will be quite frank with you. As you know, I am not an Arcalan. I'm an Alvanian. So it is good to formally speak with you. I grew up watching as my species was incorporated into the divergency, and when they met your own species, you always seem to be a very reasonable sort, and it is an honor to finally be speaking with you.
Research concluded.
If I'm perfectly honest, I don't know what you have been watching to call our species reasonable. When we first met you, we called you uncouth swines. And as much as
You
we
will
regret
forgive me,
that,
but
it
at the
was-
time, my own species didn't have very high opinions of the Alcalans, and it did quite an amusement to me and my family when I was watching the holo feed of that event, to be honest.
Very well, I suppose, very well. Well, it is lovely to meet you.
I will say, though, that there is going to be a dramatic restructuring in the priorities of the divergency. I'm an industrialist. I grew to prominence in political power on Isius through hard work and determination. I helped to transfer much of my own people's homeworld into a prosperous space. And now that I find myself as the principal of the divergency, I must say, the state of affairs my predecessor, as good as he may have been, left us in, is not a good one. Our economy is unsustainable, to put it frankly. We have decades of work to balance out the poor maintenance our economy had underneath Princip Issa. Again, a good man. I know that he cared much for regular people, but the state of the economy he has left us in is unacceptable. The only thing I will be prioritizing in my administration during my years as Princip, it will be the reformation of our economy in a favorable manner. Nothing else can be prioritized at this time.
Understandable, we suppose. Whilst he was a great man, he certainly was no economist.
He was not. He was I believe, a labor unionizer. We have many talks, and he always prioritized the needs of the people. And I respect that. He did much to organize the working class in Isius. I worked with him in my younger years when he was underneath the dictatorship. We protested together, but as you say, he did not have a mind for economics, and that has frankly damaged our species and his quite badly here.
We should leave you to your devices.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate it. We will talk soon when I have dealt with this crisis. We are currently going to be only prioritizing the economy, so everything will go into that. All our tech, and in food, of course, we'll need that too. Everything is going to go into food at this time. With the energy credits we've received from the puck, we have mostly stabilized our energy deficit, but the main issue is consumer goods, which is really bad.
I believe I can answer that.
Ah, greetings.
Greetings. We have just had a very aggressive encounter with the Xeltek swarm to our south.
Not surprising to hear, but disturbing.
Upon confronting them about the fact that they have 20,000 worth of fleet power sitting upon our borders, both yours and ours, they, rather than apologizing or withdrawing, instead chose to threaten to assimilate us. Once we refused, we informed them of our technology to disconnect them from the Hive, to which they seemed very panicked.
I'm sure they didn't take that very well.
No,
It seems that
they
we have
just-
timed this very fortunately, as I do have the primary strike force of the Divergency fleet on its ways to Yana Station. The Great Station on Yana is almost done with its upgrades. When our primary force gets there, we expect to be able to hold them back.
Wonderful.
But if they, I suppose, attack within the next month or so, we may have a very different situation on hand.
Speaking of the war, we wish to discuss a possible semi-unification of our collectives. Not true assimilation into yours or ours, that would defeat the purpose, but perhaps the formation of a basic federation, so we may protect each of our interests.
We have considered such things in the past. I do have logs of such things being proposed. That would involve a frankly very detailed discussion. Oh my. Into Cerberus territory. A very detailed discussion with the council for such a thing to be proposed. Though I will say personally, I'm not opposed to it. As I said in the past, I hold great respect for the puck, and I know many of the Arcalans do as well. So, bearing fruitful talks with the council, I'm sure something could be potentially built together. So in the roleplay, the council is currently debating whether or not to enter into a federation with the puck, who are good friends of ours. I do have very good news for you, though. My council voted not long past, before you arrived, to formally agree to form a federation with the puck assembly.
The Xeltek swarm has just declared war against us. Right, I shall send over the envoy with the specifications of the federation.
Very well. This is a very inopportune time, as elections are about to happen right now as well. And I'm not sure I will be able to secure this seat, given that we may not see the splitting of the vote that we had last time with the Arcalans. Greetings! I am Princip Alexander Kuzin, the recently elected leader of the Divergency.
I've heard great things about you from the telecom productions. Although, part of me believes that they aren't entirely accurate.
It is good to speak with you, I must say. I was one of the council who did vote for this federation due to security concerns, and I'm glad to see it happen. As I'm sure you are aware, I'm a formal naval man myself. I served as an admiral in the fleets for years. Though I will be honest, I'm very new to governance. It is not my area of expertise. But given the security nature of our present situation, the people of the Divergency and the council have sought fit to put me into power. It will be an honor working with you, my friend.
Shall be an honor working alongside you too.
At present, we have had a broad economic restructuring under Adwata. She was a very competent industrialist and managed to completely solve the economic issues that we had after the council was reformed. With our newfound economic progress, I will be utilizing all of our resources to build up our fleets and prepare to defend the Divergency, as well as our allies in this great federation.
Magnificent. I believe we are in a safe enough position to begin declaring war upon them now. I assume that's
Construction project concluded.
Very well.
remains acceptable to you.
Of course, my species stands ready.
Very well. I shall make the announcement. We have done it. We've made a successful first strike against the Xeltek Swarm.
You actually managed to take Hixaro's station. I am shocked. If you are able to destroy a beatless station, it'll allow our fleet to assist you, as we are not capable of destroying it alone.
That was the next stop on our journey.
Wonderful.
Project concluded.
They have attacked our fleet. We are taking heavy casualties.
We should be moving our fleet towards you soon. Don't worry.
We are going to retreat it. They are going to be headed towards the station. If you can take that station behind and cut them off, they will have no retreat. I do expect the station will fall, though, unfortunately. You will find the fleet on its way forward, it seems. They're going to centralize their position with that new station. They are entirely cut off now, it seems.
For now. Although I would not be surprised if they struck back.
I expect so. My secondary fleet is on the way. They are going to be headed south and looks like they plan to ravage my southern systems.
To inform you of our plan, we are going to be splitting our fleet, sending our main battalions to chase down the Xeltek Swarm, whereas any mercenaries have been redirected to make a frontal assault.
Very well. I will be doing the last upgrades to Yana as well. That station, they will not be able to pass through again, I suspect.
Wonderful.
Research concluded.
Yes, now that you have Yana. I believe the Xeltek Swarm are backing themselves into a corner.
Is that their entire
Attempting
fleet?
to take out React. Yes, I believe so.
They are going straight for the capital. I think they're going to bomb React Prime. If they commit war crimes in this war, we are going to demand extremely harsh peace terms.
Construction project concluded.
Of course. Yes, they appear to be heading directly forward.
We have contacted the mercenaries, the Libya's Free Warriors, to begin to raid the Xeltek as well. You're doing much better than I expected in this war.
Yes. I'll admit I was a little worried, hence why I spent a few pennies on the mercenaries. However, they appear to have proven their worth tenfold. Let us hope they don't find themselves united behind a stronger leader.
We arrived here alone, afraid of the darkness that came with our lack of understanding, and reborn through the chaos that defined our early days. How far we have come. The Federation stands as a testament to our willingness to adapt and overcome. The Puck have proven to be what we had hoped for and far more, and through our bond and cooperation, stability, safety, and prosperity are secured. The Xeltek War will prove to be the test of whether our alliance is strong enough to stand, though with defeat comes an unthinkable future. Unlike our entire history, though, we find ourselves no longer fighting alone. There's something to be said, and knowing that the universe has others you can place trust in. We are building a future that would make our ancestors hundreds of years ago, before the enemy, so proud, as curiosity and belief are defining our choices. Uncertain as our future may be, it is one worth fighting for.